last week on Gleeboot, really nothing of consequence happened except Kurt meddling in this old woman's life and Rachel literally getting dragged by dogs and being a pretty terrible person. And Chris Colfer creating an environment that was so toxic that Santana and Rachel like can never speak again. And the episode ending with Lea Michele being like, yay! It's sounding like please fucking cut. And that's what you missed on Gleeboot.
It wasn't
the
much.
energy of that was just like, it captures my energy for this episode. Proud to announce that I was like 80% right about last week's episode. Didn't realize it would be the final number. Also had totally forgotten that it was happening until like June Squibb, and they were like, yeah, there's a bus here, and I was like, oh, they're gonna do the thing. And I was kind of right. I kind of nailed that.
I don't even remember what I guessed, so good on you for remembering.
Well, I think like I remember what I remember vividly about us guest starring on that podcast was it was Gleek of the Week, right?
Yeah.
So I remember them being like, okay, so like you guys haven't gotten to this part, but like, what do you think is happening? I was like, oh, I figured it out. Like, I know. And they were like, kind of like, I mean, you're not like that wrong. But yeah, so that was the episode last week. This week.
With the weirdest placement of Melt With You.
So
Oh,
weird.
that
They were
was
singing
weird.
dogs. Oh my God.
That song already doesn't make sense. Why make it make less sense?
Yeah, like there are ways it could have been one of those classic Glee end of the episode vaguely inspirational covers.
Can we have, Melt With You? I mean, like super on the nose, but highly entertaining Ice Cream Parlor.
I was
song.
literally about to be like, they're doing an ice cream sundae like fundraiser for the Glee Club, and like someone's dressed as a popsicle. Maybe Marley.
Maybe Marley. You remember her?
Will's like, you could wear a bikini or a popsicle. She's like, I'm dressing as a fucking phallic popsicle.
Gleeboot. Yeah.
So season 5, it went out with a whimper.
I like what you said. It went out with a shrug.
A shrug. It was just kind of like, we ran out of episodes. Like it literally, this whole season was filler. Like there was kind of something until like the Nationals, and then they ended the Glee Club, and they're like, well, we have this many episodes. And so I guess there was Rachel's opening night was like kind of something, but the rest of this was all filler.
Yep.
Yeah. And I mean, the whole season felt so long, but there were fewer episodes. And I'm like, how is that possible?
It's just fluff. And then can we talk about how Rachel would probably have had a 10-month Broadway contract that she's going to like.
She has one. They talked about her contract.
Yeah.
Literally at this point, how long has she been on? 3 months, maybe?
Maybe.
Like, I'm sorry. I've never been on Broadway.
Months and months longer than Rachel stayed on Broadway.
But also like 3 months, obviously, yes, like she had all her rehearsals and whatever, but that's not like enough time to like really get settled in the show. I don't think, like, to really like find your footing and like, I don't know.
Like just 3 months is how often like you might rehearse for like a summer community theater play. It's like a child sports season.
Mm-hmm.
It's like okay, maybe if like a celebrity is going to go on Broadway, like, oh, we're going to have Jordan Fisher and Dear Evan Hansen for 3 months, like come while he's here. We're going to have Sarah Bareilles and Waitress, but Rachel is not that famous. I refuse to believe she's that famous.
Well, she's clearly not. If like some random person from, what was it last week? Whatever random, I think it was like NYU like a student newspaper or something, or student publication or something was coming to interview her. And it's like, you're not very famous. You're also not very famous if you don't have a publicist. No, last week was not Broadway.com. It was not. Because I was like, what is this? It was literally like NYU something, or I don't know.
Yeah, but
it was, but also she didn't have a publicist. Like, I feel like the show, like the producers would hire a publicist for her, especially if she's such a fucking brat.
Yeah. Well, also like, so I really like the idea of Santana going into like PR.
Yeah, for sure.
We will never revisit that. I'm like 99% sure.
Yeah,
like, I'm 100% sure.
Yeah. It's like a very interesting route for her character. It would make sense. And I could see her doing like a PR reality TV show.
Yeah, she's a bad bitch and she could handle it.
I want to see her doing PR for the Long Island Medium.
She reminds me of Princess Carolyn. I know Princess Carolyn is an agent, but they have the same energy.
Is she in BoJack Horseman?
Yes.
I noticed you looked back. I'm assuming you looked at your poster.
Yes, I do. I have a poster of Princess Carolyn that says, "You got to get your shit together."
Yes, and when we were talking with our professor that one time, she said, "Oh, you have a poster that says your shit."
Oh. Terrific.
Yeah. So we're here.
It is not in the view of my camera anymore.
For that exact reason.
Oh yeah. What are we drinking today?
I got myself more Topo Chico hard seltzer, strawberry guava.
Every time
I had
see
some
it in the
orange juice.
store, I'm like, Hannah.
Yeah, this stuff is so good.
I am still chipping away at my poolside flavors, truly. I was going to go with a different flavor than last week. And I did. And then I finished it and I had to get another one. So I've drank.
I have drank. I have drunk. I'm not good at past participles with that.
I can't. It's too hard. I drank kiwi mojito style first, and now I'm drinking that one. I know is correct. Orange peach fizz.
Also, listeners, Alyssa didn't just like drink it in these like 4 minutes that we've been talking on the podcast. We basically spent 20 minutes before this talking, so she wasn't just chugging it.
Hey, listen.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but just in case anyone was like,
20 minutes is fast. Almost chugging.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess if you're going that fast.
I'm drinking sweet wine. Yeah, because Rafa asked me to get some, but then he meant rosé. He just said sweet wine.
So what is it that you're drinking exactly?
It's like red wine that's sweet.
Okay. Does it have a name? Or does it literally only say sweet wine?
Red sweet wine. I could get the bottle, but it's in the fridge. And
no, that's okay.
Hi,
Suki.
Yeah, there she is.
On the bed. This is where I lay. So this is where I lick myself.
Right on my sweatshirt.
Yep.
So it's time for our very last Mary Smash Murder.
Wow.
We are running out of characters. I cannot do it for all of season 6.
No, I don't blame you.
This was a season 5 thing because we were at such abysmal content. We needed to spice things up.
Yes.
So our category is absolute menaces to society.
Okay.
We have Susie Pepper.
Okay.
We have Ethel from Riverdale. Ethel Muggs, played by the actress who played Barb.
Oh, okay.
On Stranger Things. And she was also in that one where she catfishes Noah Centineo.
I don't remember what it was called.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was called, but I remember it was like Sarah Burgess is a loser, and everyone was like, "Yeah, she's actually like a pretty bad person." So,
What is her name again?
Ethel Muggs.
Ethel Muggs.
Betty calls her in her internal monologue a psycho bitch because she is crazy. There's this part where she's in the convent. It's peak comedy. Because there's like a convent of nuns that do conversion therapy, but also have the children worship this evil monster from the Dungeons and Dragons game and get them to go on drugs and see him.
The Demogorgon?
What?
The Gargoyle King. Season 3 is the best season because of the Gargoyle King.
I will never watch that show. Everything I know about Riverdale, what did you say about The Bachelor was
has
like
been against my will.
has been against my will. Everything I know about Riverdale, everything I've learned has been against my will.
And then our third option is Clarissa from Rain. She is a girl who wears a bag on her head and lives in the crawl space and the passageways in the castle and does murder someone, but does help Mary Queen of Scots out sometimes, but eventually
Wait, did she have like a phantom mask at one point?
Yeah, she does try and kidnap a kid who's her half brother or full brother. I can't remember.
Oh wow. There's literally like pictures of her with like a phantom mask.
Like a bird hat.
Well, there's that, and then
they make a mask for her at one point because they're trying to be like assimilate, and then she can't. Yeah,
that's really strange. Like it literally looks like a knockoff version of the mask from Phantom.
So she lived in the walls.
Yes.
Wow.
Like Bruno.
I know, that's what I was thinking.
So she's Bruno.
She's Bruno, yeah.
I mean, that's who we gotta marry.
Clarissa, no. I'm killing Clarissa. She does try and kidnap her little brother and maybe murder him. I'm fussy on the details. It was scary.
It was scary.
You don't know her motivation?
Oh, she died from poisoning.
It was because she was mad about being kind of exiled from the family and being treated poorly. So it was you felt bad for her, but she was terrorizing a 8-year-old boy who 2 seasons later is inexplicably 18.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna sleep with Susie. She'll stalk me for a little bit, but she'll get over it.
I don't even remember what her deal was.
She obsessed
ate a
with
pepper.
Will, so she ate the hottest pepper in the world to get his attention, and she went to the hospital.
Was that season 1?
Yeah.
When Rachel has a crush on him,
Mm-hmm.
and they sing that mashup in the car, and Terry's there. Remember Terry?
Yeah, Terry.
Okay, I'm going to marry Ethel because I like the actor. I'm going to kill Clarissa. I don't know why. Maybe because she lived in the walls. And then I guess I'm gonna sleep with Susie Pepper because she's spicy.
She's spicy. Also, Ethel is insane. I described her in my way too long article where I ranked every character in season 3 of Riverdale. That Ethel was Ethel is life. She's the box of chocolates that you never know what you're gonna get. She is truly unhinged. She is the most unhinged character to have been written in a timeline that includes Quinn Fabray.
She's all of her flavors of chocolates are like
Habanero.
lime and a lime nougat, and then there's a cherry cheddar cheese. Yeah.
She does pour a milkshake on Veronica at one point, which is a descendant of the slushy.
Wow. Yeah. So I'm gonna kill Ethel for the reason that she likes lime chocolate. That's a no-go. But I mean, I don't know a lot about her except that she's insane. I will sleep with Susie because, like Hannah said, super spicy. Definitely spicy. And I'm gonna marry Clarissa, right? That's her name.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
You're gonna live in the walls.
Alyssa's into the wall thing.
She knows all of the secrets about this castle.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
What?
That's literally like her role on the show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I
in the
want
pilot, she's like telling Mary stuff like,
Love
don't drink
gossip.
the wine, they're gonna poison it. You know, like
I want in.
But then she dies of poisoning.
I can be her face on the outside. Like that's the way we're gonna play this.
You're
like,
the voice of Clarissa, like the mouth of Sauron in Lord of the Rings, right?
Oh, it's gonna be a
Lorax.
dynamic duo in which we completely either we take over and start ruling, or we bring it all down and there's a complete power suck. Mostly it's evil, but it still intrigues me. So I'm doing that.
This alternate history, the St. Bartholomew's Day massacre, is the direct result of Alyssa and Clarissa's plotting.
Alyssa and Clarissa.
See,
What would their ship name be?
Clarissa. But spelled CLARYSSA.
Why can't it be mine? Alyssa. I want it to be Alyssa.
Oh, you're right. But then it would just change your name, though. It would just be.
It would be the same.
ALISSA. Or I guess there'd be two L's.
Okay, with an I, so ALLISSA.
Yeah.
Not that it matters, but
I had friends. I mean, I'm still friends with them. They got married, and their name was Dylan and Ann, and I'd always be like, "Well, your ship name has to be Anlin, because otherwise it's just like Dylan
Or Dan. I mean, it's not great, but
okay. Also, so Rafa has been watching Awkward. I never heard of this show
from on MTV.
Yeah, he's watching it on Paramount Plus.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
deep cut.
Yeah, I'm like, this show really came and went without making an impact on society.
I only watched it because like my college roommate and friend, she loved watching MTV content, and I ended up like kind of getting invested in the show because the one like mean girl, I don't remember her name.
Sadie.
Yes. But
who would go on to be in GBF.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was the same era that I watched GBF. I was like, this is the greatest movie ever made. Oh my God. It's not. It's terrible. But
so
definitely worth a watch. I think it's a must watch.
But yeah, I'm like, it doesn't reach Teen Wolf levels.
No.
I think the protagonist is really annoying, but I'm also watching Glee. So like Rachel Berry is the worst. And then, but like at one point, I just can't forgive them for this joke. They're like, you're like a small cable show. Like you don't have a lot of marketing or like network attention, but like you're getting picked up and noticed by the small people who matter and like developing a small audience. And I was like, you are referencing yourself. And I hate that.
Well, that's what this episode does. It references Rachel's life, I guess.
Okay,
it's so
this
bad.
Is jumping ahead. But at the end, when she's reading like the good pilot, she's like talking about like love or something at the end.
No idea.
Like
I
the
checked
meaning
out.
of love, and I'm like, this feels like the end of like a Charles Dickens novel, not the end of a network sitcom. Like I'm just imagining like the Big Bang Theory set, and Leah Michelle just on there being like, and the meaning of love is. And like my parents, the last people to still watch network sitcoms are like, no.
Even if it can't win them, you got a problem.
Yeah. Okay, so the Untitled Rachel Berry project. Which do we have any Monk fans in the house?
Monk?
No. The show.
No.
Monk.
Yeah,
Not
I've
Monk's
seen
the
it.
religious order. Yeah. So one of the like comic relief cop had a band that was the Randy Disher project. And that's what this makes me think of.
Oh, interesting.
The Untitled Rachel Berry project.
It I don't know what it makes me think of, except it makes me cringe.
Okay, so I guess the main plot is the network is sending Mary Halloran to
I'm
write.
surprised you didn't choose her for the Menace Society.
I as we were doing it, I was like, I should have done like either like Susie Pepper or like Kitty, Terry, and Mary. It's just all Glee Menace Society.
Okay, I would kill Terry. I would kill Kitty.
I would kill them all.
And I would still sleep with Susie Pepper.
So they're like, she's like, this is what I want my show to be about, like friends making it in the city. So, and then she shows up because I know how I feel about someone crashing Monday Night Dinner. And I'm like, why are you? That's weird. And then,
yeah, because they have their like weekly potluck.
Yeah. And then Brittany shows up. Heather Morris was available this week.
Yeah, yes, because Santana was not available because Naya Rivera was probably like, I can't fucking work like this.
So Heather Morris is just like, what up? And they're like, I thought you were on Lesbian Island. And she's like, oh, where's Santana? And they're like, she's filming a youth set commercial in Iowa. They have like the best fields to run through. The best wheat fields.
I completely missed that line.
It's so dumb.
It went like in one ear and out the other, I guess.
Like that is such bad relationship communication. Like she doesn't even know where she is.
They're in a relationship now, right?
Yeah.
Like officially. Yeah. Okay.
Like I feel weird. Not like, I mean, like I generally like tell Rafa like where I'm going, right? Like,
I mean,
not
this
like,
also like, depends.
Not like
I mean,
every
I feel like
moment. Not like I'm like, okay, I'm at Target. It's just like if I'm like going to another city, he would probably know.
Yeah. Something like that for sure.
It definitely depends on the relationship because my dad's a pilot. And do you think my mom knows where he is every day?
Yeah.
But
he's also a pilot and she does know that like, is his job. Yeah.
So maybe I would understand if Santana was like a huge star or something and traveled to a bunch of different cities all in one week. Like maybe not. Maybe you wouldn't know where they are.
That feels like an expensive commercial to fly probably the whole crew. Like who in Iowa is
I've heard of like commercials for like just random places like we're just filming in Slovenia. And he was like, the fuck.
That's so weird.
Okay. Maybe there are tax breaks. There are tax breaks.
They get the big Iowa money.
Yeah.
Well, Jennifer, when I before whoever poisoned the water in Flint, though technically it was just years of governmental neglect, not one person. But
right.
But
gotta have a scapegoat.
Yeah, but Jennifer Granholm, she did the film credit thing in Michigan, and so a bunch of people would come and film things. I think Oz the Great and Powerful, starring the ever beloved James Franco, was filmed in Michigan, but the credit's gone and that whole industry went. And it's not like it was creating a lot of jobs because they would just like fly in their crews from LA. It was like it created jobs for extras.
Yeah,
right.
Like those munchkins, they're my people.
Well, you can only film in like 6 months of the year anyway. The rest of it's uninhabitable.
Yeah,
unless they're doing the live action reboot of Frozen, that's inevitable.
Oh, why'd you have to say
if they do that, they're not going to be filming in that.
No,
that's going to be, my job is to make it look snowy.
They're going to be literally in a soundstage in LA or Atlanta.
Yeah. Probably full green screen or blue screen.
Yeah, I was actually just talking today about like how the Lord of the Rings movies, they had their flaws, but one of their strengths is how like the fantasy feels a lot more real because of how it was filmed.
Yeah.
Whereas like now
they
everything's
lived
just
in New Zealand for however many years.
Like everything now just feels like it's just a CGI, like whatever. But like
advantages of the first 3 Star Wars films as well, which
exactly, I brought
Disney
that up too.
is kind of bringing that back in their TV, is like bringing back the original, like practical prosthetic aliens in the TV shows.
Right,
it's starting to get the feel of the original first 3 movies, which are technically 4, 5, and 6. So
right,
yeah. I hate prequels. Not specifically the Star Wars prequels. I hate the concept of prequels.
If you're gonna have a story before the story, just start the story earlier.
Yeah, like we know how it's gonna end now. Like we know, like
yeah,
it
like
can
the
be
new
done well, but like
Minions movie. Literally, okay. So I went to go see the Bob's Burgers movie.
Okay,
and that was one of the trailers, and I was like, we already know how this ends. Like he becomes an adult supervillain. He's a baby right now. Like, duh. Like he gets like kidnapped. But the good thing about that trailer, though, is I know everything that happens in the movie, so I don't have to go see it.
He becomes a supervillain, and then Miranda Cosgrove and her sisters.
Yeah, my curiosity is assuaged. I don't even need to see it. I get it.
Yeah.
There are ways to do it well. I don't think that movie's gonna do it well.
No, I mean, I think they should have just stopped all of the Minion stuff, but you know,
by like Despicable Me 1, done.
Rogue One, that is a good way to do it.
Rogue One was good, yeah. So yeah, it's not. I think it can be done well. It just usually isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to see the Han Solo movie because I was bored. But I haven't really seen the other Star Wars movies.
Guys,
and I was like,
there's so much content. Do you know how many animated shows there are?
Oh, yeah.
5.
I mean, there's all of that, which like, are they canon?
Yeah.
Or Jesus. Well, no, I'm not getting into it now. But yeah, no, like I watched it. I was like, it was fine. And everyone was like, it was the worst. I was like, yeah.
The Han Solo movie?
People take Star Wars too seriously. That's my main critique of the fandom.
I mean, it wasn't good, but I was like, it's whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
There was someone who came back and everyone was like freaking out in the theaters. I was like, oh, it's a person that I'm supposed to know because I'm supposed to be a fan.
Yeah, well, I love that meme that's like Star Wars fans will be like, OMG, it's gulp shitto. And then it was like Marvel fans it's like waiting through 20 minutes of credits for someone to come out of a portal and be like, it's me, Blorko. So the Gleeboot will be a prequel about Willie Schuster growing up, but it'll be framed as like a villain origin story.
Yes.
Like I'm thinking Cruella.
But not like
amazing.
No, but not like Maleficent. We're going to make him truly evil.
Yeah. It's like they're like, wait, so who's the good one? Will or Sue? And we're like, none of them.
No.
It's like how in Wicked
Sue
they're
wouldn't
like
even be there.
In Wicked, it's like Alphabet and Glinda are like both like kind of good. It's like the opposite. Like they're both villains.
Wait a second.
Like the show You, where the main character is definitely a villain.
Yeah.
A villain.
Did you ever see that clip? Oh my gosh, we're so sidetracked, but like I don't know.
Yes, we are.
The clip, it was like on Fox News and someone was talking about the show You on Netflix. And it was like Gretchen or Greta. He's
Greta Van
also like
Susteren?
Dutch peasant.
Greta Van Susteren. Yeah. Don't ask me how I know that.
She was like, there's not a show called that on Netflix. And he's like, no, the show is called You. And she's like, there's not a Greta Van Susteren show on Netflix. And he's like, it's called You. And she's like, I don't have a show on Netflix.
That sounds like Greta Van Susteren, honestly. Just completely nonsensical and very aggressive.
Yep, that's how it was. Aggressive nonsense.
Okay, I was going to look up. I had a total like complete sidetrack in my brain, but it did have to do with Glee.
A total clip to the heart, yeah.
Because you were talking about what if we did a prequel where it's Will's origin story. But then I was like, or you said, would it be Sue or Will who's the evil one? And then I was like, wait, Sue wouldn't be there. But she actually technically should have been there if she had been working since the 80s.
Yeah,
and Will graduated in the 90s. So they would have known each other for years. Because I just remember Sue dressing up in the lady clothes.
Yeah, and Puppet Master, best episode of season 5.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to have to agree with you right now. But anyway, my other sidetrack was I was trying to Google like if there was like any information about when he was in high school. And I went to the Glee fandom wiki.
There's a cut scene, I think, of him at Nationals or something.
They have his former address listed on here. Both of his addresses.
What?
20 Apple Blossom Lane, Lima, Ohio, former. And then 14751 Edgewood Drive, apartment 203, Lima, Ohio. No idea why these are on here, but
where did that come from?
No idea.
Can you copy and paste that into Google right now?
Into Google? Oh God. Okay. Hold
See
on.
if that's a real address.
I closed the app.
Are there novelizations of Glee?
What do you mean? Like a little
one of those,
book?
A book.
Like written?
Yeah.
Actually, I think there might be.
No way.
So,
really?
There is an Archie Comics crossover where the characters of Glee and Archie some of them switch universes, and it's written by the guy who'd go on to be the showrunner of Riverdale.
I have no idea what you just said. I'm so focused on this. Here, I just sent you guys a link. Glee.
We definitely know why Riverdale is unhinged now.
An original novel, August 2010.
It says URL not found.
Oh, mine went straight to the audiobook.
Okay, let me try
Yeah,
again.
it's an audiobook, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It has 4 reviews, 5 stars.
What are they all?
4 hours and
can we
58
read the
minutes.
reviews?
Guys. Oh, wait, let me go to Amazon.
Glee the beginning. Oh my gosh.
Guys, there are multiple novels. Guys, do we have to read these books?
No. I can't. Spends all the time from 2 weeks and features events before, during, and after the homecoming dance. Although lyrics aren't displayed in the book, songs such as Tonight, Ruby Tuesday, and Bleeding Love are featured.
How? How? Then they sing the song.
That's what I did in my fanfic. Rachel takes the role of reading the morning announcements in a bid to impress the school, and Finn finds himself amazed by her singing voice. Puck and Quinn have a secret fling, while Artie, Kurt, Mercedes, and Tina prepare for a performance at the fall music recital. Brittany and Santana are impressed by their song and dance. Songs featured Tonight, Good Morning, Ruby Tuesday, Wednesday Week, Bleeding Love, Just Dance, I Won't Back Down. Other songs such as I'll Be There For You and OMG are mentioned, but not sung.
I don't understand. Also, there are 224 pages in this first book.
The book is followed by Foreign Exchange.
Hey, Alyssa, you know how you just got that library card?
Oh, no. Listen, I already requested that some books be brought into this library. I'm not requesting this. I will not.
God.
Original Glee novel. The events of the novel take place between Hello and the Power of Madonna. McKinley High goes international and invites a French Glee club to town. Finn falls for a new girl. Kurt gets an entourage. And Puck realizes that some suave moves are lost in translation in the second Glee original novel, Foreign Exchange.
You guys, one of the reviews says this book explained so much that the series did not. I swear this was my 10 billionth time reading these books, and I'm not ashamed of it. Maybe it will clear things up. Maybe they're actually good.
Guys,
The songs featured in the French one are Lady Marmalade, Seja, California Girls, sung by Mercedes and Mark, whoever that is, Love Train / Le Hymne à l'Amour, sung by New Directions, and Lycée de Lyon, Grave.
Guys, I think we may have to do these books.
No.
Not like now, but like maybe like a year after we end.
Just like a little bonus content.
We're going to go through the 3 books. We should also go through there's a trivia book.
Listen, if they only take 4 hours and 58 minutes to read out loud, they got to be short.
Yeah, honestly, we could just do the audiobooks and listen.
So the third original Glee novel, Glee Summer Break, takes place after New York. So Mr. Schu's after when they first
Nationals.
go. Yeah. Mr. Schu doesn't want the Glee Club to lose momentum over summer break. Oh my God, he's a terrorist. So he's talking to Rachel from the rest of the Glee Club into running a singing workshop for local kids. Rachel plans for summer break featuring dance classes with Finn without telling him. She then goes to school to find that Finn publicly refuses her offer. Embarrassed as the Glee boys laugh, Rachel gets angry. She gets even more upset when she finds out she cannot do her summer plans, as Mr. Schuster wants the whole Glee Club to run a summer Glee Club for children. Rachel refuses and storms out. Oh my gosh, this is in depth. Okay. Songs include Airplane / Leaving on a Jet Plane, sung by Mercedes Jones and Tana Lopez. The American Anthem, as sung by Mercedes Jones. The chorus of B.O.B. featuring Haley Williams. Airplanes, as sung by Mercedes Jones.
Again.
Santana sings the same song. Dynamite by Teo Cruz, as sung by Mercedes Jones. In My Life by the Beatles, as sung by Rachel Berry. Baby, I'm a Starfish by Prince, as sung by the New Directions. Bad Nomance by Lady Gaga, as sung by the New Directions. Is that a Romeo and Juliet reference?
Oh boy.
You guys, we haven't even talked about that episode.
We tried, but like
we tried. The episode's over. Goodbye.
Okay. So just imagine being in Rachel Berry's head and what, like, speaking of villain origin stories, I mean, what a hellscape that has to be.
Okay, what are we at in the episode?
Like 0-2 2 seconds in. So no, Mary Holloran comes in and she's like, is that Chinese food? That gives me the lady dies.
Brittany arrives first.
We talked about Brittany arriving.
Yeah, we got Brittany.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah. And then, so I've never heard diarrhea referred to as the lady dies because I'm like, wait, the Princess Diana's? Is that her?
Are we going to die in a tunnel in a car crash? Are we going to be killed by the queen?
Are we going to be underestimated?
Ow! Ow! Oh, it hurts. I hate it so much.
That's in the Gleeboot. They do that as their musical, Diana the Musical. It's like the only thing they can get the rights to.
That's so good, though. That's actually accurate.
Like, yes, that's like the right level of Glee unrealistic because there's thousands of musicals that you can get the rights to. But I could, like, you could buy if they were just like, the only thing we get the rights to is Diana the Musical.
I love it. That's great.
So, okay. Kurt would have feelings about that AIDS scene. Okay. So the writer is like weird, and they're all just kind of like, okay. And in this scene, Rachel says she's a genius who sold her first pilot at 14.
Which I literally like snorted. Like I could not hold it in. It was so infuriatingly like possible because of nepotism.
Yeah, I'm like, she a nepotism baby, you know.
Not a genius.
Which
just
fits
knows
because
people.
the show she wrote was giving me strong girls vibes. Also written by a nepotism baby.
Yes.
Speaking of nepotism babies, Gwyneth Paltrow is now doing ads for Postmates. So,
interesting.
Yeah, where she eats paper towel.
Or is that Uber Eats?
It posts no.
Uber Eats, because you can eat anything.
Oh, you can eat anything.
I actually kind of enjoy those commercials because I was like, I was like, this is actually like, it's kind of funny.
Yeah, Gwyneth is great. And then
because she tries to eat her candle.
Yeah,
it's like my vagina. Yeah.
And then Postmates is just is advertising bottom friendly food. So happy Pride. Speaking of Pride, I was thinking about how Hannah's dying right now. I'm just gonna keep going. How Tina is a gay icon because on the Pride playlist that we play at work, Hung Up by Madonna comes up, and I think of Tina. Mm-hmm. Also Born This Way. And I think of how, yes, Kurt has the opening, whether you love him or HIM, but the opening lines of the Glee cover of Born This Way from our cursed episode, Tina sings that.
Right.
Tina's
a gay icon. Tina said gay rights, yes.
Yeah, she does fall in love with a lot of gay men, so.
Yeah. You know, that's very Miranda Sings, because I remember Miranda Sings being like, if I want to marry a gay man, I should be able to. The government shouldn't be able to stop me from marrying a gay man. Did I ever tell you that I do own the Miranda Sings book? It's not with me in Los Angeles, but it is at my parents' house.
No comment at this time.
Which when Miranda Sings had a show, someone was like, it's like a bizarre Rachel Berry, in that like it's like Rachel if Rachel wasn't actually talented.
I remember you trying to get us to watch it. I think we watched like one episode.
I don't think I ever watched it with anyone. I watched that shit by,
or maybe I watched it with Brittany.
Brittany watched it, yeah.
Okay, and then I think like we ended up talking about it. But like I remember trying to watch one episode and I was like, I can't do this. This is not good. Like I wanna root for her, like the actor, Colleen Ballinger, but I'm just like, I can't. No.
Yeah, there are some funny moments and a couple poignant moments, but like overall, Miranda Sings is too much like Rachel Berry, and so she's really hard to root for.
Yeah.
So
anyway.
yeah, so then this woman is shitting, and then they're like, that's weird. So then she's talking with Rachel and Mary are talking. Just like a Bible scene. So they're talking.
And Ruth is there.
Ruth is there.
Esther's in the corner.
RBG. And then she's like, oh, how did you get started writing? And then she says she sold something when she was at Princeton.
Yeah. So like, was she like a prodigy?
I was like, is she 14? Princeton? Okay.
I think it's all fake. She kidnapped the actual writer and just showed up and is faking it the whole time.
I'd believe it.
Canon.
She's weird.
She's
but
weird.
I honestly I was like, she's delightful.
Yeah.
Everything else that's happening. Because like she says something like, I'm gonna go in your bathroom and I'm definitely gonna snoop around your cabinets.
Yeah.
But today is opposite day. Oh yeah, she's off the wall.
She's weird.
Insane.
And then Rachel is like, she's like, tell me, the thing she sold was the Diary of Anne Frank, where Anne Frank was played by a vacuum cleaner.
Oh yes, a vacuum cleaner.
And I'm like, what indignities will we not put this girl through?
Yeah, really.
Shout out to Marilyn Monroe. The media won't stop putting you through shit either.
Yeah.
Don't forget me, but maybe we should. And then so then we are so unhinged we don't have a guest. So
yes, I know. I don't think we ever mentioned that. Hello, this is Cullen, Allyssa, and Hannah, and no guest.
No guest. Welcome to Gleeboot, baby. They're 40 minutes in.
This episode's gonna be fun to edit.
So
oh no.
Yeah. So Mary is all like, tell me about yourself, and Rachel's like, oh, well, I got started in my high school Glee club. And she's like, boring. No one wants to watch that. And she'll be like,
she says something like, the acapella scene is so over or whatever. And I was like,
did we mention her gay NASA dads yet? Because that was,
her what?
That was perfect.
Oh, yeah.
The gay NASA dad.
Oh,
in the show.
Have dads? Or she was telling me, she's like, well, I have 2 dads. And she's like, oh, do they work for NASA? And she's like, no. And then she's like, gay NASA dads.
So weird.
And then, but then she's like, oh, so you're on Broadway. And she's like, Rachel's like, yeah, it's 8 shows a week, which is like pretty strenuous. And she's like, lazy. And I'm like, true though.
Yeah,
True.
if she's literally like, I don't want to do this anymore after 3 months, like,
Eight shows a week. That means 1 show a day, and on one day 2 shows.
I think either Saturday or Sunday has 2 shows.
It's probably Sunday, the matinee.
Well, I guess that is quite a lot.
It's a rigorous schedule. I'm not saying like, Broadway actors are like, I think they're very hardworking, like people that like.
But Rachel
specifically, like, is not up to snuff to what those.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we already knew that.
Yeah. She's no Megan Hilty. She's no Catherine McPhee. She's no Jeremy Jordan.
That's true.
So that she's writing the script, right? And then she's like interviewing different people. She's like sitting under the table while Blaine is talking to her. And she's like, I like your loafers. And Blaine's just like, Blaine's not having it. And Brittany's like, loves her. She's like, I love your pajamas. And can I have
She
them?
says like,
there's mice in the pockets.
there's mice in the pocket in my
pants.
pants. And I was just like,
Does she mean
her pussy? Like, what is going on?
I feel weird saying that on the radio. I'm not a politician.
Wow.
Too
Deep
real.
cut.
Yeah. So, yeah. She's just a weirdo. And then she writes the script. And she's talking to Artie too at one point. And she's like, Rachel Berry, he says something about Rachel and she's like putting donuts in her bra. And he's like, you just put the donut in your bra? She's like, do you want one?
Yeah, she's like digging at the donut, right?
Yeah. Well, that's at the diner.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So they're at the worst diner in the world, and it's top enemy. And I love one of Cullen's favorite hobbies. Let me just sidetrack us yet again. Is creating false narratives about Hannah's life. You know, the Silent Night solo loss, big pivotal moment. This diner, number one enemy.
Public enemy number one, the Spotlight Diner.
So she's like digging at the donut, and Rachel's like, oh, well, we're skipping this great scene where they're reading the script.
Yes.
And they hop around pages. When they think something's weird, they just skip 12 pages.
Yeah, they literally skip like multiple scenes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no wonder it doesn't make sense.
The first one, okay, so the very first line was, Rachel's in the bathtub eating a sheet cake, thinking about her gay NASA dads. And I literally went, well, first of all, you can't say that a character is thinking because you can't visualize that. Yeah. Everything that's in the action lines has to be visual on the screen.
Who wrote this?
No Prodigy, clearly.
Someone who kidnapped the real writer and is taking their place.
But okay, so as they'll start reading the scene, and then like you see the characters in the scene. Also, the characters are like Rachel, Cert.
Yeah, because she asked Blaine, do you want to be slain? Or
yeah.
And
all the names are changed by like one letter into the most obnoxious other letter that it could be.
Jam, same as Jam. And then so like Rachel's in the bathtub, like literally in the bathtub, eating the sheet cake, and Kurt comes in
a dinosaur costume.
Yep.
And he's like talking really weird, and then all of a sudden they're saying hashtag all over and over again. And I was like, it feels like I'm watching like a shitty like art house film. I just
it made me think of, I had an early script in our program where there's this character named Felicity who said everything in hashtags, which I did once when I was in Ireland when we were being annoying. When we weren't pretending to be a Southern family, we would speak in hashtags, and people would say stop, we'd say hashtag can't stop, won't stop.
Ooh, I bet they loved you guys.
This was not to the people. This was to other people in our
Got
trip.
it. Okay, good.
We were normal when interacting with just normal people.
The people of the
that
country.
Didn't know us. Yeah. But anyway, so just anything. And then some people are very strong. There are people that like, no abbreviations, no hashtags. Some people are very against that. To the point where one time I had someone say IDK in a script and the person read, I don't know. It pissed me off. Because I meant IDK. That's different.
Mm-hmm.
That was in our first.
The IDK one was in our last one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
The hashtag girl was in the first one. That's where I learned.
Okay.
You know, and then OMGM Alicia was in Cam. And she was like, if people will read that if you don't like put spaces. And I'm like, will they? But okay.
I don't think so.
I mean, if you think about the way our writing, like the way we write things, like I think total sidetrack, but if you were to write LMAO as like someone's dialogue, I would actually probably read it Lamau because I got that from somewhere.
Yeah.
But like, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. So
Whatever.
they're like I think they're writers and they're spoofing things that they find annoying in scripts.
Right.
Especially because this is boomer energy. But
so boomer.
But I will say use hashtags and slang like OMG sparingly, because I think people use them when they speak, so that they're valid to be used. And I especially think I'm against any rule in writing that says all the time you can't or can't do this.
Right.
You know, so
well,
you
like
can,
especially in a script, if someone's speaking it, then it should be able to be used in a script.
yeah, like especially if it fits their character.
Yeah.
But use sparingly.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you ever watch a movie where they just say fuck every other word, you start to like not be able to understand what they're saying because like the dialogue's so like.
Yeah, I have that problem with Quentin Tarantino movies.
Yeah, I think I've ever seen one, and I really plan on dying with that record.
Good for you. Good for you.
That in my obituary. And I want someone
never seeing a single Tarantino movie.
Someone's gonna be like, he's never seen Pulp Fiction, and then they'll be like, too late now.
I'm dying, bitch.
I'm dead. I'm gonna talk about how in heaven Jesus is like, sorry, we don't have Pulp Fiction because Quentin Tarantino thinks he can use the N-word because he thinks he's the soul of a Black person, and I just can't stand for that.
I remember when that came out. That was fascinating. But anyway, so they're doing these scenes. Honestly, is this also the scene where like Brittany and Blaine have slept together?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is so weird to see.
And then Brittany's kind of like looks at him like, like I do it. Like Brittany's loving this script. She's like, this is you keep skipping when it gets good.
It's iconic to her. Yeah.
And because they're gonna open an art gallery in the basement downstairs. And then they're having a coffee rave for Rachel's birthday.
Yeah, because her gay NASA dads forgot her birthday.
And then
first of all, her real dads would never do that.
No. And then Artie's like, oh, she's sad. You know, she feels like they forget her birthday and she's been to therapy about it. And then he's like, wait, this speech goes on for 6 pages.
Yeah. And
in a sitcom.
But also like none of it is funny. And it's all just text. It's all just like they're just giving like exposition constantly. That's all it is. Yeah. Exposition.
So it is a really bad script. And it gives girls energy.
Yeah.
Like the whole like psychotic main protagonist who's very self-centered. Mm-hmm. Weird randoms pairings, and they're gonna do weird art things. I have never watched an episode of Girls in my life.
And you're gonna die that way. It's gonna be in your obituary.
But you know what I have watched multiple times is the SNL skit where Tina Fey plays Blurda, the new girl from Albania, in their group, who's like, they're like, oh, you have OCD too? Yeah, she's like, old cow disease. I was bitten by an old cow.
I have never seen that.
It's actually very funny. Yeah. So I would only watch Girls if Blurda was in it, but unfortunately she's not. But so yeah, it gives Girls meets like not Teletubbies. What's the show I'm thinking of?
Girls plus Teletubbies. I want it.
And it's called the Untitled Mary Holleran Project.
Yes, that's the key. Because someone was talking to her before. It was like
Kurt was like, it should be your voice.
Yeah, which is like, yeah, that makes sense.
But also as a writer, I was like cringing because I was thinking like, because at one point she's like, I don't know how to write a script, but I know how it should feel, and I would hate if someone said that to me. That sounds like a nightmare.
But then they followed it up with, I'm gonna sing you a song to invoke the feeling I want you to put in the script. I would be like, I hate you.
It's not even an MP3 that you can email and I can listen to like as I'm writing or outlining.
No, you have to sing it at me
in a public location.
In a place where she doesn't work anymore.
Her reaction, Mary's reaction to what Rachel was about to do was accurate.
Yes, I was like, I am channeling this character. She was literally just like, she's like looking around like, oh God.
Yeah, the song she chooses to sing to show how it would feel, a Rachel show would feel.
Depressing.
Pink's Glitter in the Hair.
I did not know what the song was. I skipped it. I literally only watched this for the plot because I am that person in that being made fun of in that TikTok.
I like that song.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad song.
Pretty. It was just a really weird situation.
Do you feel like it encapsulates the essence of Rachel Berry and what a show should be about?
No. Let me reiterate this. Fuck no.
Fuck no. Like, I think so. I was thinking, like, what is an iconic Rachel Berry song? I mean, Don't Rain on My Parade. They've done that already. They've already used Don't Stop Believing 500 times, which is another song that really encapsulates Rachel Berry. Like, she should have sang the Halo Walking on Sunshine mashup. I don't know. Like,
she should have sang Rich Girl by Gwen Stefani. That's more her energy.
Yeah, I was just trying to think, what is like a Rachel Berry song?
I agree, Suki.
I agree.
She doesn't hear her.
Yeah, she went, wow.
This is what happens when, for all listeners out there, I'm bored of this episode, so I decided to pick up my cat. And those are the noises she makes.
You know, and Suki isn't having it because Suki likes the FERT content, and there's none of that to be had anymore.
Yeah, no.
And she doesn't think Glitter in the Air encapsulates.
No.
You know, she should have sang Beautiful Ghost, the Taylor Swift song that she wrote for the Cats movie. Though, if you were to do a Pink song, I do think Raise Your Glass would be the vibe of a Rachel TV show. Like, we're all kind of quirky and weird, like my friend group.
I guess so. I get it. I don't know. I think that was a horrible decision, and she's making this a very toxic work environment for Mary.
I just think but at the end of the day, like, why? Who wants to watch a show about someone who's been in one Broadway show?
Right. But
for 3
also,
months.
But we have talked about Rachel as a character in the show, as like a quote unquote real person, has had like very few challenges and hurdles since like season 1. Like, she's just been a tyrant. Like, so, like, why would we want to watch that? Yeah.
Like, because the executive didn't get to know Rachel and her friends.
No, they want
that'd be
Rachel.
One thing, and that would actually be, if you were to do the storyline, that's how I would do it. He's like, oh, like maybe he's even bored with Rachel. Then he's like, oh, you have all these friends, and they're all like really crazy successful, and like doing all these interesting things. Like, that's really interesting. That could be the next Friends. That could be the next How I Met Your Mother. You know, How I Met Your Fanny. You know, like. It could, there's like something to that concept, and that's kind of what the show is going with. But he just is like, no, we're going to make a show about Rachel.
For some reason.
Mean,
you could do that.
I could buy it. Like, our Gleeboot is going to be the uprising villain story of Schuster. Why not Rachel? She has what it takes to be a villain. I feel that.
Yeah, but they're not going to make her a villain or even an anti-hero. Like, I know they talked something about anti-heroes.
Because she says people want anti-heroes. They want girls, chubby girls who can't get men to love them.
I literally
and men
laughed
who
out
love
loud
to kill people.
I laughed so hard when she said people want anti-heroes. Right after she said, what it was something about like, I write myself or something like that.
Yeah.
Like,
she's an anti-hero in her own story. She's not even a protagonist, like a nice protagonist. She's the anti-hero.
Which, you know, is interesting because the television landscape had changed significantly since Glee started.
That's true.
And it was the age of the anti-hero. I think we're leaving it. Thank fucking God. If I have to watch another show or be told to watch another show, because I wasn't watching them, about another tragic white man who like murders people and screws people over and like cheats on his wife because of his like ennui. I'm like, you know what? VeggieTales did ennui better in Madame Blueberry. Like, I'm done. This is dumb. This is overdone.
This is now a VeggieTales podcast.
But like, you know, like when I think of like the great anti-heroes like Macbeth, I'm like, yeah, I love that. But if I have to like watch Mad Men or something, like, no.
A good anti-hero is like good. And then everything else is gutter trash.
But then like if you constantly are trying to repeat that, it becomes trash.
Yeah, and it just becomes like it becomes like my immortal kind of fanfic. Like I'm the edgy goth and like you know, and then like in the Disney villain reboots, like Maleficent and Cruella, they just make them heroes. They're edgy heroes.
They're not even anti.
Yeah. So it's just like it was so saturated at this point. And that Glee, Rachel kind of is an anti-hero. Glee posits its characters as heroes.
Yeah.
I think if I were to like, Finn is probably the most heroic character they had.
Yeah.
Not like Finn was great all the time, but you know, Finn and Kurt probably have the most like heroic storyline. Kurt was kind of an anti-hero to begin with, but by season 2, he was like a straight up hero. So like, but yeah, Glee was always kind of a very sincere show.
Yeah.
And that was no longer on trend. I don't think it was even that much on trend when it started, but it was definitely not on trend in like 2014 when this was going on.
Right.
So like this is an interesting commentary on the state of the industry. Does the show do anything interesting with it? No. It just gives us a cover of Pink's Glitter in the Air. And then Mary Holleran, this poor woman, is like, I don't know what I'm feeling. What is this feeling so sudden and new? Wicked. No, she says, she's like, is it happy?
Happy?
And I'm like, this poor woman, what is her life like? That the first time she felt happy was a Rachel Berry cover of Pink's Glitter in the Air.
Same exact reaction. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm starting a GoFundMe for that woman. Like,
well, she probably has money. Like, what are you starting?
She has a Tuesday, Thursday shrink. She has multiple shrinks.
Does. Yeah.
And she has a thing with names. She can't remember people's names.
Which I actually found hilarious. I thought that was great. So she's like, they won't buy it, but we'll write your show. And so they read it and it's all like, and that is the meaning of love or something like that. That's the only part we hear.
Yeah. Because they're like, oh no, we can't be expected to show scenes of a good pilot. We don't know how to do that.
No, we didn't even know how to do that when we made our own show.
Have you watched Old Dog's New Tricks? We don't know how to write television.
Yeah, that one was, oh God. But anyway, so yeah, one of the things that Mary says is like, listen, I know how to write TV. And I was like, do you though? Because listen, we heard parts of that script and it was garbage.
Yeah, no, like literally
as the French would say.
As the French would say. Our first drafts from like grad school were better than that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But also we're never gonna speak of them.
It was like a burning dumpster fire. Like entertaining to watch, but that's about it.
So
in the moment, not as an actual pilot.
Do we get any information about like anything that's changed about the story in the second, or is it still like her and her friends making it in the city?
No, we don't get any info.
It's Glee in the city.
Okay, because my thought was, this first draft is gonna suck because it's them trying to make it in the city, but they're gonna make the show into Rachel in high school and it's going to be a hit. And then it was going to be meta.
Glee. It's going to be the serpent in its own tail.
Didn't I say that last time?
Yeah.
And I think I was like, which I think could be kind of would have been a fun thing for them to do if they choose to do it. I don't know if they do, But
that
like,
would have been an interesting direction to go in, re Cory Monteith's death, because they had how they were going to end it, but they had to change that. And then that would be interesting in that we're going to make a show about Rachel and like everything she's been through. Like, I mean, losing Finn is probably the worst thing that's ever happened to her, right? And like this love story, this loss, this struggle she went through in high school that brought her to where she is today. Like that, that's like a full circle moment.
And I thought like that could have been something fun they could have played with for like an episode or two, and then they ended the show or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to happen. But that's what made me think, it was like, oh, that's why this is going to suck, is because it's going to be the show.
5 Glee, not
the
season
show
1.
The show is going to be cheeky and try to be like, oh yeah, we get it. Like this content sucks, but so anyway, but then that's it for her, right?
Yeah, that's really it. I guess.
Oh, well,
we have the last scene.
They send it to LA and they're like, we love it. And I'm like,
why?
Like, why are you giving this girl everything she ever wants? I don't understand.
We'll talk about the last scene at the end.
Okay.
That's like the cap of season 5. That's the shrug they go out on. So, okay, let's do Blurt. Blaine is sad. He wants to do Kurt to be in the showcase.
But
and
you know what? I don't have any tears for him because he did it to him damn self.
He did. And June is like, I'm a tastemaker. Don't cross me. I'm not going to put my reputation on the line for your boyfriend.
I don't understand this woman. And I don't understand like the society behind her, but I feel like it's an East Coast thing.
Yes.
It's an East Coast money thing. It's giving Versailles. It's giving
a thing
like
that doesn't exist anymore. I don't think.
I'm the Duchess and I pitched in the arts. Like it's.
Yeah, it felt very old money and like old influence. And I was like, this is seriously antiquated.
Because what does Blaine want? Which we actually we'll never know because he is a love bot. But does he want to be a Broadway star? Does he want to be like a Michael Bublé? Like, because I feel like what June could get him would be like a C-list like crooner that like.
Okay, Michael Bublé is A-list. How dare you?
No, I'm not talking about Michael Bublé.
He's in those bubbly commercials. They're fantastic.
No, but like he would just like sell like Christmas albums and sing old standards, have originals that no one listens to, and
based on the songs that she has him singing, like every single song that I've seen him sing with her has never once actually showcased his ability.
Yeah.
So, what you're saying makes sense, Cullen. I think if she showcased his ability in a much better manner, then he would be able to be a star.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think. Like they did, Take Another Little Piece of My Heart, and that did no one service.
No.
Like what was it 2 weeks ago or whatever?
Yeah. So she's like, no.
But also, why is she singing if it's about him?
Because they have Shirley MacLaine and she gonna be singing.
Yes.
So she's like, no. And then Kurt comes in. So then he sings All of Me by John Legend.
Okay. I was like, wait, this song was out when Glee was out? And I was like, how old is this song? And how old is Glee? I got lost in time for a second.
It was so boring. I was like, I usually love a Blaine cover, but I'm like, nothing is happening. He's literally just singing at the piano, singing. He's not like crying. He's just
it's not Teenage Dream at the piano.
No, he's just like generally sad, singing a song that is good, but also a little boring.
I did feel sadness coming from him. Like that's all they gave him. Sure, he did a fine job. There wasn't really much to act to,
but it has no story to it. Like none of these songs have story to it.
We just stop and watch him sing at the piano. I'm like,
that was the iTunes single right there.
Yeah, season 1 or 2 Glee or season 3 season 4 would show like a montage.
Yes.
Of Blaine and Kurt, either past scenes we've seen or new ones to show how really Blaine is consumed by this all-encompassing love for Kurt that's his only personality trait.
Yes.
And in a way that song fits. It does make me think of in the Descendants movie, which I saw one of the Descendants actresses in the park in Burbank the other day.
Oh my God, who was it?
Sarah Jeffrey, who plays Audrey Sleeping Beauty's daughter, who sings Queen of Mean, the best song in the franchise. So she...
Wait, her name is Audrey?
Yes, because Aurora. I hate the names in that franchise.
I hate that. That's
They're
awful.
all so bad. Like Maleficent's daughter is named Mal.
Oh.
I hate that. But Mal is on a date with Ben, Beauty and the Beast kid. And she sings this song. It's a decent song, but like they do this montage of like all their interactions, but the movie's not that long. They haven't had that many interactions. So like we get like a few that have happened a while ago. And then literally we're getting flashbacks to like the date that they are on right now and happened less than 5 minutes ago.
That's terrific.
So that's what it made me think of, but we didn't even get that. We just got Blaine sitting at a piano, like the most lazily filmed, like they're like, we gotta get out. We gotta get out of our one Niata room soon. So Blaine's just singing. And then Kurt comes in, and it is kind of funny. He has this look like, oh no, Blaine's at the piano singing a love ballad again. Like
he's got something to say.
And then he's like, I brought dinner, but it seems like you've had dessert. And then Blaine is like, yeah,
because they were eating cupcakes, right?
Yeah. You were never in the showcase. I lied. And he's like, we've had conversations about this off screen.
Yeah, we've had long conversations about this, is what he says. I was like, what a great line. Good writing, guys.
And he's like, I know, and I didn't mean to hurt you. He's like, how can I trust anything you've ever said? Which is fair. Blaine did cheat on him.
But also, what does he mean? Like, I didn't mean to hurt you. Like, it was like, yeah, sure. But like, you literally lied for no reason.
For no reason.
No. The reason was because he didn't want to have a tough conversation.
And now he just has a worse conversation.
It didn't have anything to do with sparing Kurt's feelings. It had everything to do with sparing Blaine's feelings.
Yeah.
Accurate. And you know, that is very accurate for like a 19-year-old relationship.
It felt real.
But also it felt weirdly like, why is this? It felt unprompted for him to confess it. Like, I feel like it should have happened when like, oh, you know, I came to rehearse. And he's like, so actually I lied. Like, it feels like there should be an inflection point that triggers it.
Like, or comes in June is there. And June's like, what?
Yeah, like, why are you here? Yeah. But she's like, oh, you came to watch. He's like, no, I'm here to rehearse my number.
Definitely would have been a higher point of conflict. Yeah.
Yeah. It just...
He throws the lunch across the room.
Oh, like hits it. He hits it across the room.
Food abuse.
I'm going to say red flag. Honestly, though, if someone like did that to me, I'd be like, let me like really consider that.
Yeah, like it's okay. So like, obviously, Blaine lied.
And it is an inanimate object. That he's
lying about not that it's inconsequential, but like Blaine didn't cheat on him with another guy whose Facebook picture is a lighthouse, right? It was a lie about this professional project. So like, it's not like I don't know how to explain it, but it's just like, there are worse things you could throw a lunch around over. You know?
There are worse things I could do Glee cast version.
Well, I feel like the throwing the lunch thing, it didn't even really feel like Kurt to me.
Yeah, it felt like Finn.
Yeah. Like really low.
Or
kicking a chair.
What's his name?
Puck. Jake.
No, God, what is his name?
Puck,
Cuban
Jake.
white bread.
Sam?
No. What's his name? Blake Jenner.
Ryder.
His fucking name?
Already forgot him.
Who? Exactly.
Okay. You know, someone the other day told me that Flynn Rider wasn't hot. I'm not a big Flynn Rider stan, but I can say that for an animated character, like, he's hot.
But I think we can all agree that Tadashi is the real hottie.
Or the fox in
And he
Robin
did die in a
Hood.
fire. Oh yeah, no, the fox. Okay, so I've never seen that movie, but I've seen like people use like gifs from the movie. He is a fox.
Listen,
like literally,
that movie
and
invented furries. Like honestly, you could probably do a timeline and be like, yeah, furries existed because of Fox Robin Hood.
when did it come out?
The 70s.
80s? Oh.
That was like the sexual revolution had happened.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Actually, someone get on that.
Yeah, someone do a video.
Give us
essay.
the data.
Don't you hate,
I need a dissertation.
I feel like a video essay on this property, and I'm like, there's none. What?
That means there's a market for it,
but
and you got to do it yourself.
Your boy Ryan's video essay.
Oh my god, that'd be so great. What if Ryan did videos, like video essays on like really obscure things just because like there's a market for it?
And like he has no knowledge. They're
yes.
like unresearched.
He's reading the Wikipedia.
It's just like, this is what I think about this. People started wearing shoes at some point in history. He's mad. And then they have this conversation about Kurt's talking about birds and flying. And when do you fly? When do you defy gravity?
Speaking of furries,
people say.
Come on.
Yeah, he's like looking longingly at these birds, and Kurt's like, or someone, was it Kurt or was it Blaine who's like, they have diseases, And it's like,
Kurt
why do you have to say that about these birds?
That's their private medical history.
Yeah, HIPAA.
Feed the birds, tuppence a bag.
Tuppence a bag.
So they're talking, and they have a kind of mature conversation, I guess. I really don't remember other than
and then
Kurt talking about flying. They end with Blaine saying it could be all the bird talk, but like, do you want to go inside? Like, I'm really
You're right.
turned on.
Speaking of furries, Alyssa,
yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Speaking of
feathery,
I was gonna say, is it feathery? Or is it furry just because like animal?
It's furry because animal, because furries can also apply to reptiles, mainly dragons.
Oh,
it's like
interesting.
A dragon thing.
Yeah. Because that would be like scaly. Like it's overcomplicating it.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
That's how I understand it. I could be wrong. I am not actually part of that
correct
subculture.
us if we're wrong.
Yes.
I've been to a pup night, not to go, but because where I was going was having one.
Right.
And they're like in like these leather, it's slightly different from furries, but they're in like leather, like pup masks, and they're like crawling around, and yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah. So, but Blaine turned on by birds.
Whatever.
He's just watching Rio sometimes when he's lonely at night.
This is a children's movie.
What other movies about birds?
The
Birds, I guess.
Yeah, the Hitchcock film.
The Penguin movie. Happy Feet.
Happy Feet, March of the Penguins. Happy Feet. Yeah, that's the one where Elijah Wood's dad is Hugh Jackman. And his mom is, I don't remember, but I think no, I don't remember. Those are the only two I remember in it. And I vaguely remember there's like tippy tapping feet. There's emperor penguins eventually.
I really think the Surf's Up was the better Penguin movie.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Surf's Up is definitely better.
What an underdog.
Yeah. Like Surf's Up is fun and is cute.
It's a good soundtrack
There's
too.
a movie about the owls. The Guardians?
The Guardians of Gahul.
Yes. Yeah. The Guardians of Gahul.
It makes me think of 30 Rock. It makes me think of 30 Rock, where Matt Damon's the pilot and Tina Fey is dating him. And for some reason, the plane won't take off, and the only movie that's available is The Guardians of Gahul.
So,
anyway,
so birds turn Blaine on. He's a freaky boy. He's a little freaky deaky. He like puppets. like birds.
Okay,
Houses.
what did they do with the puppets? Do you think they're still in the apartment? Do you think they use them?
Yes, I think they do.
The answer is yes to all of them.
Yes, because I think Blaine could get away with it. Like, he's cute enough. Like, he has this cute, innocent look enough that, like, him being into freaky shit is, like, kind of hot. I'm not saying I would do.
I mean,
I might if he was asking. If I would, I might do some puppet shit. Depending on how far I was going. I don't think I could do it if they were puppets of people I knew, though.
Right. That's a good line to draw, I think.
Yeah.
It's healthy.
Yeah. Okay. So Blaine's kinky. And then it's time for his show. And he's singing a song with June Dalloway. Let me look up.
I don't even remember what it was.
It was bad. That's what I remember.
It was very boring.
Mm-hmm.
I actually thought it was cute. I didn't think it was bad. I just think it is not for a young audience.
Yeah. It does feel like he is like, it's like she's trying to make him into like a 50s icon.
Yeah.
Literally anytime I see them performing together, I feel like she is trying to make him into a 50s icon. And also I get very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I do get a little bit like Sugar Baby vibes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That could have been a more interesting plot.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying.
Yeah.
They could have sang Sugar Sugar by the Archies.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Honey.
As featured in the B movie in the Dream Sequence.
Lyle's favorite movie, B movie, right, Lyle?
They sing No Time at All from Pippin by Stephen Schwartz, who did Wicked and The Prince of Egypt.
So Prince of Egypt.
All right, let's talk about it. Here it is, the Prince of Egypt podcast. I actually didn't end up watching it when we said we were going to. I'm gonna do it. I promise.
Yeah, we have to do like a mini podcast specifically just for Prince of Egypt.
We're going to.
4 hours long, maybe 5 hours.
Just like we're watching the movie and talking about it and like pausing it and like
being like, oh, this is so good.
Yes. And we're going to describe the beautiful colors for our listeners.
Yeah. So beautiful, detailed, the sky. And just like the way they do the pyramids and all the background and so good. Anyway.
So he's singing, and then they want an encore. That was apparently the last song was this thing that was June.
Yeah.
And they want an encore, and Kurt's like, go do your encore. And then Blaine is like, I'm a love bot. You want to get to know me? I'm consumed by love for my high school boyfriend.
Who's now my fiance, and we're 19.
We're 19. I'd like to introduce you to Kurt. Now, here's the actual interesting thing, because June is upset. So Jonathan Bailey, who plays Lord Antony in Bridgerton, he didn't come out till recently because he was told he wouldn't get leading male roles if he was a gay actor. He would only get gay roles.
Right.
That's a real thing. And so you could have like June being like, not, oh, your fiance sucks and you should hide him away and blah, 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 blah. I hate the purple Teletubby. It would be like, I think you'd be more marketable if you didn't. Like, you could pass as straight. I'm not saying don't live your life, but like, keep that private.
Yeah.
And don't come out.
It would be very, I think, not necessarily like on brand because we don't really know a lot about her, but it would make sense for someone of her age who does this kind of thing, like tries to help people.
Right.
Like
she
that would
experience.
Be exactly, that would kind of be some sort of quote unquote sage advice from her that would make sense coming from her and could be somewhat understandable. Like yes, I could see the reasoning behind that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she says like she's very dismissive of Kurt. Like she's really rude.
Yeah, like every time Blaine brings it up. Always.
It's just the typical Glee going for the easiest, broadest, laziest way to do it. When you could do a really interesting thing where maybe her and Kurt really get along. But she's like, Blaine's the talented one, Blaine's straight passing. And like, it could be about that real thing because it is a real thing in Hollywood. And it is a tough choice to decide that you're going to be out, you know, as a singer, as as a performer. So like, because I remember like in high school, which was this was a little bit before this episode came out, people were talking about like Adam Lambert and they're like, yeah, like his music's good, but like I hear it and I know he's singing about a dude. So like, that's just weird.
Right.
You know, things have changed now, but like, you know, I think that could have been a very interesting way to approach the story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So June, she's like, oh, you're such a nice friend for coming to support him. And he's like we're going to be together. Like we love each other essentially.
Well, he's like, a friend wouldn't put up with this. I'm here because I love him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I was very confused by, because like, haven't they said that they're married not married,
engaged,
fianced?
You know,
but like
that fits because that is how my parents refer to me and my sister's partners as our friend.
Yikes.
So,
yeah.
It's a thing.
Well, so I wonder, did Blaine end up telling Kurt that June was like, you need to break up with him?
No.
That's a conversation that I would understand Kurt throwing food over.
Yeah.
But yeah, like said, like
she did, didn't she?
She said
she
that.
did.
She
like
said
at
that.
the very beginning.
Yes.
But Blaine never told Kurt.
Blaine never told Kurt. So her saying like, oh, you're such a good friend for being here. Like, wouldn't that kind of tip him off and be like, what are you talking about? Like, we're literally going to get married. And she should have been like, oh, like that's not going to last or something. Or, you know, like.
Yeah, there was a lot of dancing around specific issues just in this scene that like, I feel like they were trying to get at a point that they never actually did because they were too busy trying to step around what they were trying to say. It was just confusing.
So then they sang American Boy, Kurt and Blaine.
Okay, so first of all, the key is different because like Blaine comes out singing at like a really high pitch, like higher pitch than what the song is. And I was like, ooh, oh, it's because Kurt's singing along. Makes sense. But there's a point where like, I'm trying to think of what the lyric is. It's like a cheeky lyric, but then all like the rich white people in the room laugh.
It's what's in his jeans is what I'm interested in. Something.
Yeah.
He also, I think he grabs his crotch. And he says that.
And everyone's like, like, oh, rich white people.
I put that in, it's in our ballot, which we will be discussing next week as an option for most hallucinogenic
number. It's a hard word.
Yeah. I said
that
American Boy where Kurt grabs his crotch.
Oh, interesting.
Because I'm just like, can't believe I'm watching this. They sing it. It's pretty cringe. It's a bad choice. It's also just how they have Chris Colfer sing in the show is like not doing him any favors.
Yeah. And like, this is the performance that June is finally like, oh yeah, he's actually kind of good. Okay.
Which makes no sense because they sang before literally 2 weeks ago.
Story of My Life. This is arguably better than Story of My Life.
Yeah,
arguably.
But like, I don't see a difference in the way Kurt was like performing.
No,
that's the thing.
The only difference was
around.
Yeah, the only difference was the reaction from the crowd.
Yeah.
Well, because the whole crowd is like line dancing.
Yep.
Which is weird.
Yeah. And so they're like, and they all hug. And she's like, I love the gays. My third husband was gay.
Yeah. And then she's like, you know what? You guys are great for each other. You're both very talented. And that's it.
And I'm pretty sure June is never seen nor referred to again.
Probably not.
Thank God.
yeah. Shirley MacLaine's like, I can't do this anymore.
And then
They don't pay me enough.
they're like, we are paying you like so much money. It's like, you need to
She's
pay
like-
me a country.
Yeah, she's like, it's still not enough. I need the GDP of a small developing country.
So anyways, so that's, I guess the only other storyline is Sam Sadie's.
Yeah.
One of the few couples we use their real ship name. So Mercedes is like going on a mall tour.
It was very early Britney Spears.
Yeah, it is also giving Robin Sparkles Let's Go to the Mall.
Yes. Yes, for sure.
And she,
Are we gonna, let's quickly talk about this song.
well, okay, first she's with Sam and she's he's like, I'm gonna do this thing for Treasure Trails, which I thought he was already on Bubble Butt, but he's gonna do Treasure Trails and he's gonna have his junk on a bus, his dream, which he does not get. He gets his torso on a bus.
Yeah.
I'd like
Right.
to clarify. I think they were like, that might be weird. And then Mercedes is like, and I'll be spraying mine over all those posters because those Rexy models can't have you. I was like,
Oh God, there's
like,
a lot to unpack
and then
there.
Rachel's like, that's what I want my show to be about. And I'm like, okay. And so then she's doing the song. Blaine and Artie and Sam are there, and Brittany, who's now suddenly her backup dancer.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, a nod to Brittany being Beyonce's backup dancer in real life.
Oh, interesting.
It is a Glee original called Shakin' My Head.
Okay. Don't like it.
SMH.
Don't like
They
it.
literally just take the concept of SMH and make it a song.
Yes.
It's like, okay, so they're
It's so repetitive and just like
just shaking my head, shaking my head.
Yeah.
it's
not
vapid.
good.
It's just empty.
Well, it's like they're like, because it's just because Mercedes is so underdeveloped. They're like, what do you know about
Yes.
Mercedes? She's black. She because she says, why do Republicans hate the blacks? She sings about food and like dieting because they're like, oh, because she's curvy. And then she sings about Jesus and heaven because they know she's Christian.
The line was, I could drink Diet Coke in heaven and not gain a pound. And I was like, why would you drink Diet Coke in heaven? Why wouldn't you not drink Coke?
Regular Coke.
Some people do prefer the flavor of Diet Coke.
I know. It just tickled me in the wrong places.
You know, okay.
Show us on the doll where this tickled you.
Okay, she also, we're going to go on another tangent because why not? You know?
Tangent town. Woo!
We're going to do a classic Gleeboot tangent. We're going to talk about religion a little bit. So she talks about why does Jesus always look like a white guy when he's from Palestine? Which is probably not what he would have referred to it as a Jewish person, but that's neither here nor there. So the concept of like religious figures who are also historical figures is very interesting to me because there is like the fact that the historical Jesus was like a brown-skinned Jewish man. He was neither black nor white as we would refer to now. But like religious figures also have this other connotation where they kind of represent whatever culture is referring to them.
Right.
And like this is in Catholicism in like aspects of the Virgin Mary. Like, so we have like Our Lady of Guadalupe is very famous. The Virgin, I almost said it in French, Virgin de Guadalupe, like she's mestizo. She's half like native to Mexico, half Spanish. And like she was appearing to a Spanish or a Mexican native, like in the story, where the image comes from. Like when St. Bridget of Sweden is talking about her, she's blonde. When the schoolgirls in Africa see her in Cabejo, she's black. And when Bernadette in Lourdes sees Mary, she is 12 years old and speaks her obscure French dialect. And so there's this concept of like a spiritual entity can be for all peoples and all times. And that's why art, depending on what the culture is, will represent him differently. Like, that's why like art, they also tend to wear the fashions of the time period, you know, like I think it does get annoying when people just look at it and say like, well, that's not historically accurate. I'm like, that wasn't the intention behind the media that you're looking at.
Right.
You know, I think when it comes to race, there's also like people are referring to it because they like are like attacking brown people that look like how Jesus did in real life.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's that valid thing, but I think a lot of times it's like, well, why is he white? And I'm like, because a white person made it.
A bunch of white people decided that their version of Jesus would be white so they can make paintings.
Yeah, there's like a difference between historical religious iconography and creating a historical fictionized movie and casting a white person. Like there's differences in these situations, but
yeah, I think that's a really good point. I didn't even mention. Yeah, that's really good. And
who directed Passion of the Christ? Was that
was that Mel Gibson?
I think so.
I think it was.
Which is fascinating.
Because he definitely included the line, "May his blood be upon us and upon our children," about the Jews.
Yeah, it is. There's a sequel to the Passion of the Christ. There's supposed
to be a sequel.
The resurrection. I mean, that is accurate to the Bible. Was resurrected.
I can't remember where if it was a text in my siblings or on this podcast where it said the Chronicles of Narnia is a better illustration of the Jesus story than the Passion of the Christ. And I will stand by that because the Passion of the Christ tells you the dark half of the story without the ending. So I'm like, what's the point of this?
Never saw it.
Yeah. It'd be like watching Snow White, but you just end where she dies. It's like
those prologues we were talking about earlier where you already know the ending, but there's ways to do it well and ways to do it badly.
Yeah. And so, but anyway, so back, there is an interesting thing. I remember when I went to the Getty with Rafa, he pointed out how in the Middle Ages, there are the saints would have varieties of skin tones. Like some would be kind of brown, some would be white. But then once you get to the Renaissance, like post-colonialism or kind of the advent of colonialism, all of a sudden they're all very white and very pale.
Interesting.
So there is like white supremacy in that history of portraying religious figures as white. So I don't want to just erase that. But I do think sometimes people get down and dirty in that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like also a difference between portraying a saint and portraying like the actual God of the religion.
Yeah. And I guess so Mercedes sang this song and I was shaking my head.
You were SMHing.
I was SMHing all the way. And so Sam just runs up on stage to hug her and I'm like, okay.
Weird.
And so then they have like Brittany, Kurt, and Rachel have like a girl intervention for Mercedes. And they're like, you're going on tour. Like Sam can't resist temptation. Like you're going to be meeting new people. And she's like, I got my posse and I got my Jesus. I'll be good. Sam loves me. I think they're valid. Both perspectives are valid. Like
I've never had a friend group. Like I've never seen this where they try to separate the two people who are dating, like in an intervention. But like the same friend group is trying to disconnect them.
This is the same thing that I was mad about for last week's episode. All this meddling. Just stay the fuck out of it.
Yeah, it's not really their business.
No,
like okay, so when Blaine is talking with Sam and Artie, it seems like Sam is talking to Blaine and Artie. I feel like Sam's bringing it up.
Yeah.
He's like, this is something, and like he and Blaine are
clearly
close
like
friends, so like it would make sense they'd talk about this.
Yes.
When have those three last hung out with Mercedes one-on-one? I guess Rachel did a few episodes ago.
For like 4 seconds.
Yeah, so it would make sense even if Mercedes and Rachel were talking and Rachel's like, hey, there's something I'm worried about. But they're like, you need to break it off with Sam, not like, hey, this is a complicated situation.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's complicated. And like, if that's going to be their life, they have to figure it out. Like, you can't just be like, well, it's not gonna be worth it. You guys should just break up.
Yeah, like, it's also like long distance is hard should have been the discussion, not Sam can't not cheat on you.
Yeah, that was weird. I think it's strange.
It was just like pointing to the fact that like, oh, well, in this episode, we're going to explore that basically he cheats on her kind of thing.
Also, does Sam not know what masturbation is?
Yeah, it's
That's
like this
also a good
weird
question.
idea that men don't have any autonomy over their sexual desires,
Well,
which is
I mean,
untrue.
well, that's definitely some people's like boys will be boys type argument too.
No.
Yeah.
I know.
So
Yeah,
nip
Alyssa's
that in the
not
bud
having
right
it.
here.
Yeah. But I'm saying like that's like
literally like if you ask most of Congress,
yeah.
like, it would be.
So I mean, like I get why they're doing it is because like that's probably what they believe. Like even if it's like subconsciously.
Yeah, I mean, because Quinn was villainized in season 1 for waiting till marriage, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so Mercedes, they've treated it with a lot more nuance in that. With that,
It's because she's actually into Jesus.
Yeah,
and Quinn kind of just like flip flopped.
Yeah,
Can't flip flop for Jesus.
Even though
I mean, you can. That's kind of his whole.
Even though he definitely wore sandals.
So they have this internet, and Sam's like, sex is all I think about all the time, and he's wearing
masturbate.
Yeah, and he's wearing a rubber band to like slap himself, so he doesn't.
It's weird. It's like the self abuse of like
the monks
super devout monks. Yeah, like
I'm named after. I wasn't named after, but my name is derived from one of these saints, Irish saints, who apparently was so hot that girls would chase after him, so he would like jump into thorns. Yeah.
Jump into thorns to escape the girls, or to like give himself scars so he wasn't as hot?
To escape the girls.
Okay.
But maybe a little both.
Could be.
But yeah, like the punishment of like trying to distract yourself from like thinking about sex or like preventing you from acting on those desires is like, it's a really toxic thing to, it's a toxic thing to explore in the show that isn't going to actually like, they're using it as just like, oh yeah, this is just like accepted.
Is just minor forms of self-harm are normal.
Yes, exactly. And especially because like men can't keep it in their pants, so they have to like,
well, and just,
abuse themselves.
Growing up in that culture of like where that was the like abuse, like where I was inundated with stories of self-harm to punish oneself for one's sins.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you're like, well, that's extreme. You don't have to do that. Like eventually like put me on a path to that,
Right. So
not a fan. So Sam essentially is like sexually assaulted. Like that's kind of what the story is.
Yeah. So okay,
it was really awkward.
He goes to this first, is it like an audition shoot, I guess?
And this woman who's actually a creation of like Kevin Spacey that he's like controlling, like he's like a voodoo doll.
Oh, I see. I was thinking Harvey Weinstein. Maybe it's a little both. Maybe they're like both voodoo dolling it.
They take turns.
So one person gets her arms and the other person gets her legs.
Yeah.
And so she's like, I want this to ooze sex. Which when I think of, okay, so it's for manscaping, right? Sam has no body hair. He's not only is he 19, any body hair he has, he's shaving.
It's very light. Like I remember seeing it on his abs, like a very light treasure trail, but like it's not.
He's also blonde.
Yeah, that's the thing.
But like that's the thing is like if they were doing a shoot for that, they would get like men who are maybe more in their 20s to 30s with dark hair and beards.
Well, I don't know. What year was this? 2015, 2014? I mean, maybe not. Like,
I don't know. I just feel like in my mind, like he makes sense as an underwear model, not as a manscaping model.
But I mean, if manscaping is just to remove it all.
Yeah.
Not to like make it look tidy.
Well, I think
we're not talking about 2022 Manscaped shave your balls ads that we're seeing everywhere. This episode is not brought to you by Manscaped. But you can sponsor us. We're heading into season 6.
What if we got like a sponsor for like the last like 5 episodes?
That'd be hilarious. I'll do the ad reads. I'll say balls all I want.
So yeah, he's there and she's like, I want this to ooze sex. I brought some women to help. Just some models.
And then he sings
Girls on Film.
Yes. Wasn't that a title? It was Girls and Boys on Film, and they didn't sing that song.
Yeah. So he sings that song, but here's the thing. I'm like, technically, isn't it supposed to be the boys on film because they're the models?
I don't know. I mean, but he's the one thinking about girls. So
yeah.
You can go either way.
But also, what if one of those models is gay? And she
no, that's impossible. There's such thing as gay women.
No, but like gay men too. Like that, she's trying to turn on these models. So she just gets a bunch of women.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Well, maybe they'd be turned on by all of their model counterparts.
Maybe. They're in like, Sam's in like, he's shirtless with like a golden blazer and pants. And they're like on ladders. And so she's like, you know, what's going on? He's like, I haven't had sex in a while. Like, my girlfriend and I are waiting till marriage. She's like, okay.
What a weird thing to confess. It is very Sam, but also it feels like not a thing that you just confess at work.
Yeah.
Well, it felt like something Sam would say, but weirdly, like the reactions that people had to it were not the same as they typically have to what Sam would say. So it felt like he was confessing something that this was like normal to confess in this environment, which it is not.
Oh, that's a good way to put it. Cause it's weird. Cause like if he was talking to his friends and he said that, and they're like, oh, okay, Sam, that's a weird thing you said because you say weird things all the time. Like you're like get weirdly personal, and that's why we love you. But yeah, this is like these are strangers, and she takes it very like
at face value.
She knows she's gonna use it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, it's weird. And so then he gets the job, and then he's doing the shoot. He's like shirtless with his like pants open, and
and his like underwear's up,
and so they're like taking pictures, and she's like, oh, I'm not feeling it. And then
well, first she says, give me more sex, give me chocolate, give me banana, and I'm like, what does that mean?
I was thinking
don't tell me actually.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I was thinking just like chocolate dipped fruit is sexy. I don't know.
And then he's like,
can we also please just like very briefly touch on the fact that she's using a Polaroid camera to take professional grade model photos?
I know.
So the first one that she uses
was a regular one, but then she pulls out the Polaroid.
Okay.
It's no, I thought that was weird because it was on her shoulder. Like she was going to use it anyway.
Yeah,
it's so weird.
None of those photos that she took on the Polaroid are ever going to make it to
a bus.
They're not
anything.
Usable.
Any print,
the quality
anything
isn't going to be good enough.
What if
this is like this blurry ass picture on the bus?
It's probably for like a weird collection she has. Well, I mean, she does basically sexually assault him.
Because she's like, so he's like, this camera guy is looking at, or the light guy is looking at me weird. And he's like, is one of your nipples higher than the other? Which is something they always say, but I've never quite noticed.
But it's like, so what? Like, everyone's a little lopsided. It's fine.
Yeah, like it's just I hate when shows try and like tell me that someone like Court Overstreet isn't perfect or conventionally attractive in some way, and I'm like,
don't do that.
Don't do that. We all know
you can't fool me.
Yeah,
I see this man in front of me. He's gorgeous.
And so she's like, oh, do you want a beer? And he's like, I'm 19. She's like, I won't tell. First step.
I won't tell your mom.
I won't tell your mom. First step of predators. Forming a secret.
Grooming.
And then he's like backing away. He says, I'm kind of scared. And she's like approaching. And he's like, he does say she's hot.
She is very predatory in this scene. Extremely.
Very, and especially because like his pants are literally open. He's like exposed to her. And so she's breaching professional lines.
Yes.
You know, and like
she's pressuring him because she's getting right up in his face. She like pushes him up against the wall.
And then she kisses
a ladder,
him.
actually, which I was surprised did not fall over.
she kisses him, and then the scene ends, and we're like, what in the Derek from Smash Mouth did I just watch?
Well, because she says, it's just you and I here. No one
has to know.
Yeah. And that's it. That's all we get.
Yeah, this is literally textbook grooming.
You know how I know this? Because I had to do that class when I was a volunteer at church. And because one time I had to listen to, Alyssa was playing like a murder rape podcast really loud, and they were talking about this. So I know the steps.
You remember the steps from the murder podcast that I listened to that I don't remember.
Yeah, because the guy in the podcast, like the kid was assaulted by this man and then murdered him later in life. And I was just kind of like, but I get it. Like,
oh, I kind of remember that episode.
He was like a serial predator too. So it's kind of like, well, did he kind of do us all a favor? Not that I advocate for murder, but like if we
did he Dexter him?
Yeah. But like, so anyways, yeah. So then Mercedes has all these cupcakes, all these cheat foods for Sam. And then he's like, he's sad, and he's like, let's sit down. And he's like, I cheated on you. And she's like, okay, like what? And she pulls her hands away. The acting was great. A+
This
to
was
Amber Riley and Cordova
such a sweet moment. Like, it just like really good scene to watch.
And
I enjoyed it.
He's like, she kissed me. And then she's like, did you do anything else? He's like, no, I just cried. And she took some pictures of me crying in my underwear.
So predatory.
And like a 19-year-old boy crying in his underwear.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's uncomfortable.
That's not going to look good on anyone's hard drive.
Yeah.
Well, it's not going to be on the hard drive because it's Polaroid.
Polaroid, you're right. It's not going to look good in that weird collection of photos she has of 19-year-old boys crying in their underwear.
Yeah. Nope.
And then Mercedes says, you didn't cheat on me. It's not like you kissed her back. And he's like, well, like I kind of did. And like she kisses him. And then
because he's like, it's like that reaction when someone kisses you, and she's like, okay, well, let me prove it to you. She kissed him. Yeah.
I felt so like my heart went out to this little man who was just like
little bean.
I know it so like he conscious and like he hated himself for that moment, and it wasn't his fault.
Like he thought he had done something wrong, but it's like, no, dude, like you were pressured into this.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, like even if he had gone like all the way, as someone might say, like I was as the
French would say,
all the way. But like the dynamics, like she's his boss, kind of.
Yeah, she's an authority figure.
And he says, like, he's like, I'm scared of you because I need this job. Like, I don't want to lose this job.
See,
like,
this
like,
reminds me of.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that time that Ryder confessed to everyone that his babysitter sexually assaulted him. And Sam was like, high five, bro. So I really hope he's learned something.
Yeah.
About authority figures.
I mean, you never really want to learn
that way.
Yeah. That's like, not good.
That's what it made me think of. It was like, oh yeah, I remember that time that Ryder confessed this, and you were like, that's awesome. Yeah. So that happened.
So so then Mercedes and Sam talk about it, and they're like, we love each other, but we kind of need to let each other go. Like, I'll be on tour, you'll be modeling. Like, she's like, it's gonna kill me to see with other girls. And then Sam says, anytime I'm doing it with other girls, I'd rather be doing it with you. Or anything I'm doing with other girls, I'd rather be doing it with you. And I'm like, this feels weird.
Let's not talk about that.
And then she's like, if I ever decide not to wait, I'll give you a call.
The one line that I really didn't like from this conversation was when Mercedes said, I can't do this to you. And I was like,
like she's withholding something from him because he's basically like an animal. He has to do this. And it's like, you guys made the decision together. You're not doing anything to him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not her fault. Like, that's a decision that he made for himself. You know?
it all kind of implies that this is something that happened because they weren't having sex, and it's somehow Mercedes' fault.
Yes.
And this would have happened anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like Kevin Spacey,
Harvey Weinstein, voodoo doll
would have done this.
Yeah.
Because predators are predators.
Predators be predating.
No, they don't need they don't get a slogan.
You're right. They don't deserve a slogan.
Like haters, they can have one, not predators. So yeah, that is weird. I agree. But so they end their relationship. So I guess we're finally at the goddamn end of this goddamn episode. So they're outside. And they're like, Rachel's like, if my pilot gets picked up, I'll be in LA. And that'll be the first time me and Kurt have been apart in 5 years. Kurt's like,
Kurt's like, thank God.
Yeah.
I mean, no, that's going to suck.
And then like Sam sees his picture on the bus of him shirtless. And he's like, I made it. And Artie's like, great beginning to a career. And he's like, nope. And I'm going back to Ohio.
No. He says, I'm going back home. And then in the montage, did you see where he was? He was in the high school.
I knew it.
I was losing my shit. I think that was very, very specific language they chose. And then those visuals, Alyssa, I think you're right. He was living at the school.
It is canon.
It's canon.
Like, is home Ohio or Kentucky?
It's the school.
It's the high school.
So
it's
like,
William McKinley High School.
Yeah, so he's going back home. He doesn't like hearing things at night. And no, I think it's valid that there's at least one character that's like, I don't need to like go out and pursue my dreams in the big city. I'll just live a chill life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sam would be a great soccer dad.
He
like
would be.
Everyone would love him at the cookouts, and
he would fail completely when trying to bring snacks, and then everyone would take pity on him and bring snacks every time they knew that he was bringing snacks.
Yeah, like he'd be a great pillar of his community.
Yeah.
Pillars.
Which is more than we can say of Will or Rachel or even Kurt. So
yeah,
Kurt's is gonna be skulking around old nursing homes. So they're all like, oh my gosh, Blaine's new career as a socialite, whatever that is. We're all going different places. It's the end of an era for us Glee kids, which means next season is Glee 3.0.
Oh no.
Oh boy.
And then it ends on Rachel looking directly into the camera. And I was like, I fucking hate you guys.
Well, she looks up at the sky. She looks up at Finn.
No.
I've heard that theory. And then she looks at the camera.
She does not look up at Finn. She is looking at the skyscrapers because she's thinking about how she's going to be leaving for a different city with different skyscrapers.
Yeah.
And then she looks at the camera and I was like, why did you break the fourth wall? Don't do this to me.
That would have only made sense if she was going to go on to make the show Glee and this was the series finale.
If she was like on like set and like it looked like William McKinley High School, like, and it was like that would have made more sense. But I hated it.
Just said that, they just sing Pompeii. They're like, Kurt's like, what I wouldn't give to break out in song right now. And they sing Pompeii because that was popular.
Yes. And it sounds very different from the original and not in a good way. It sounds very cacophonous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it feels like everyone's singing at a different key.
I liked it, but I could see that.
I did not like all of the random people choreographed into the background. Not a fan.
This made me think of In the Heights, and I was like,
In the Heights, right?
I was like, Glee walked so In the Heights could run.
And there's like all these shots of like Artie's singing in film school. Sam's looking at the computer lab at William McKinley High School.
That's where he lives. That's where he sleeps, in the computer lab. Wait, the computer lab that used to be the choir room.
Yeah,
that's right.
And
so he doesn't sleep in that computer lab.
Kurt and Blaine and Rachel are just like chilling in what I guess is their apartment. I guess Blaine lives with them again.
Who knows?
So, and before this, Rachel is like, let's make a pact that we all meet here.
Come back here to this spot in 1 year.
And
It's
that
like,
never
you're
works.
you're not going to do that.
The show doesn't do it. That's never referenced again.
I don't understand. First of all, the TV shows and movies that make this a thing and like that people actually go back to that place. I'm like, did you put this in your calendar? How do you know what day it is?
That works.
It's just like how I know Leonie's birthday every year. Leonie, I got my tweezers.
Just on hand. But like, it makes sense if it would be like, let's fit like someplace in their home, like breadsticks at Christmas time.
Yeah.
You know, like something like that.
That's
where like
normal.
There's a reason we'd all be home.
They'd be home. They know how to get to breadsticks. It makes sense.
Did they look at the street signs where they were standing? Like what's the plan?
Yeah, what are they gonna do when they all meet each other?
What if this is like, if it's just like out in front of one of their apartments, right? Okay, but what if they move and like they're not living in that apartment anymore? It's like, that's weird to just gather outside someone else's apartment.
Well, and it's just the fact that like these writers just were so clearly without a plan, because this is never referenced in season 6 at all, as far as I know. Love it.
I'm so excited
so
for
they're
that.
Just like, we need something, I guess. So they do that, and they all sing Pompeii, and she gets renewed, and she sings "Oh my God," or says "Oh my God" in a way like
1,000 million times.
Yeah.
Hashtag I hate it.
So the episode's over. You know, I would have loved.
Thanks, bye.
She turns. She goes away. The song ends, and then we cut to a boardroom, and Mary Holloran is like, "So that's my 5-season pitch for the Rachel Berry TV show." And they're like, "Okay, the first 3 seasons seem
pretty strong.
Solid. Okay, 4 is getting weird."
But she's like, "Yeah, but then there's gonna be some serious issues with like people in the cast. You know, somebody's gonna die, unfortunately." And they're like, "You have this planned?" She's like, No. I just see into the future.
So that is the Untitled Rachel Berry project. May it forever remain untitled. It does not deserve one. It does not deserve any appointment from the Queen.
She does not deserve a TV show after being on Broadway for 3 months. I cannot emphasize enough how green she is in like on stage acting, even greener for TV acting. Anyway.
Well, her life isn't even that interesting. I mean, you only get a TV show if you're interesting. She's not.
She's the least interesting person on the show, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tina
time. Tina
0
wasn't mentioned.
And you know what?
No mentions,
good for her.
No appearances, no lines.
I would have loved if they're like, for this network show, they are hiring a new writer for their writer partnership with Brown. Tina walks in. She's like, "I volunteered to write the Rachel Berry TV show." And Rachel's like, "Oh, this is what I'm like." And Tina's like, "No, lazy, self-centered."
Doesn't do her own costumes.
Would Tina have the same moment where she feels happiness in the diner?
Like, Rachel Berry, I've heard you cover 50,000 pop songs, and this is one of the worst ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we miss Tina. MVPs and LVPs. Hannah, least valuable player.
I said the photographer because she's a sexual assaulter.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. What do you?
Yeah, I mean, no argument there.
Everyone else is like mediocre. It's like whatever, inconsequential. This woman is not okay.
She's a sexual predator, and it was an extremely uncomfortable scene, and they didn't really even address it.
Yeah, she should be in jail.
Yeah.
They didn't even see it as that. Like they literally ended up being like, okay, we're going to have Sam think that he's cheated. And then we're going to have Mercedes think that it's her fault. It's not going to be the photographer's fault. And they're like, yes, run with that.
Well, I just feel like this show has a long history of like
dismissing sexual assault.
Sexual assault and like being okay with predators.
Yeah, I mean, Quinn and Puck are together, right?
Quinn and Puck, Sandy Ryerson, April Rhodes, what's her face? Jane, not Jane. I can't even remember the actress's name. Dance teacher, Cassandra July.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like, yeah, these people are not okay. Shelby Corcoran.
Yes, of course. Never forget.
Yeah. So then, I'm like going back to summarizing the plot. Okay. Hannah, MVP.
I wrote Mary, the writer. She was a joy. So weird. I think it was just because it was something different when like the show's just repeating different things over and over again.
Actual joke.
Yeah, like she said some really bananas stuff and it was great. And her reaction to Rachel being like, I'm going to sing a song at you. Like, oh God. I agree.
I'm going to go with Sam because my heart really did go out to him this episode because of his terrible experience with the photographer, but also like he managed to like complete his dream that he wanted to do and then had the self-intelligence to be like, I don't want to live in the city anymore. I'm going to go back home to the high school.
Yeah, he did what Rachel couldn't, was reach a dream and then reflect and be like, you know what? There's more to life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know, he had to find his new dream, as they say in Tangled with Flynn Rider.
Who is arguably one of the hottest.
Yes.
Not the hottest. Tadashi is the hottest. Not just because he died in fire. I'm going, shout out to Sam, but I'm going with Mary just because she was funny and different. And it felt almost like a throwback to the Susie Pepper era. Yeah.
You know, when Glee was just kind of weird and there'd be these weird people. And I feel like the Glee universe has gone insane but boring.
The Glee TV universe, the GTU.
Yeah. The GTU. Well, there's novels, there's an Archie comic, there's multiple forms of media, there's a concert movie.
When are you going to stop digging up media about Glee? Please, please.
He's afraid that this is our random New York corner and we're never going to meet here again.
I would be okay with that, honestly.
I mean, yeah, but it's not about Glee.
Yeah. So, music. We have some garbage. We have
even more garbage
in my head. Glee original, All of Me, John Legend, Girls on Film, Duran Duran, Glitter in the Air, Pink, No Time at All, casted Pippin, American a Boy, as the French would say. Featuring Estelle, featuring Kanye West.
Problematic.
Pompeii by Bastille, who I did see sing that song in concert.
Fun.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the music.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's interesting about all this music? It is inconsequential to the episode. Do any of them matter?
No. The only one that serves any story purpose, you could say Glitter in the Air and American Boy serve a function.
A function, yes.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's good or great. They serve a function.
I'm going to say that Glitter in the Sky is my least favorite. And then also, I'm going to have to also say, like, I did not like the Pompeii. It just, there's something off about everyone's part. It just felt like it was all over the place. The arrangement was kind of weird.
I didn't like No Time at All. Like I hate every time those two people perform together every time. I just really dislike it, and this did not make me like it.
As weird as American Boy was, I think I'm going with Shaking My Head. It was just so obviously trying to be a Beyonce song, but like with a Mercedes twist, but they don't know who Mercedes is.
Yeah.
Because no one does. But shout out to All of Me.
At least.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah. Because it doesn't serve a function. It's not one of his best sad songs at a piano.
Yeah, it's just
it's purely for that iTunes money.
iTunes money. So Hannah, what's your favorite song?
I don't know if you guys can see this, but it's blank. I think I'm gonna go with American Boy, I guess, because I sang along to it because the song is catchy. I don't think I love the arrangement, but you know what? It's the one that sticks out. I remembered it.
I'm gonna go with Glitter in the Air. Not because Rachel sang it though. I like the song, first of all, and it's like fine as a cover, but the real, clincher that made this my favorite song was Mary's reaction to it, and me trying to understand what was happening, because when she got up and walked towards the stage at first, I thought she was up to something. I thought she was gonna throw something at Rachel. I was ready.
Throw a donut at her.
Yes, I was ready for her shenanigans. They didn't actually happen, but I was entertained at the time.
She just said, "I feel happy now. You need to go leave so I can shame eat."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm going with Pompeii. I love a group number. I love that song. I think Sam sounded good in it. That's what I got.
Not much to choose from this week.
How much to choose from this season?
This season, listen, I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. I would like to formally apologize, but not really, to the first 3 seasons of Glee and how harsh I was. But again, not really. I think I texted you guys or Cullen, I don't remember which, and I was like, I miss the Power of Madonna episode, even though that's been my nemesis.
Yep.
It's just even if I didn't like the messaging that was going on in those episodes, even if I didn't like some of the writing, there was stuff that was happening.
And songs that were creative and creative.
And they used them in ways, just
the
generally
show is a musical, not a show that just has songs in it. Sometimes.
Yeah, a show that sings random songs for no reason. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's so changed. And I mean, we'll talk about this next week in the ballad episode, but just hands down, this is the worst season of Glee. And I don't think 6 will change my mind, but definitely compared to everything we've watched.
Yes. Yeah.
It's weird, but I don't know if it would have been better if they kept Marley and Jake and whatever. But I don't know if it could be worse.
I think probably would have been better is if they somehow could have pulled off, okay, we're staying at McKinley, and then they have a spin-off show with the graduates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's just, they were competing in the season, and then all of a sudden it's just New York, and I'm like, I could not care less.
Yeah. Well, it's also just the no stakes.
Yeah. I mean, it's not just our lives. We think there's so much that we have to do and accomplish in high school. And then by the time like we get out of school or get out of college and then we're in life, it's just like we have nothing we're working toward. Is that the millennial experience? Did this show accurately capture it? Oh my God.
I found out 2 days ago that my high school is having a reunion next month. And it was like, I've always really thought about like going and saying, you know what, I'm in Hollywood, I made it, suck it. And then I thought about all the people that I knew in high school and who knew my name and who knew my aspirations and who cared. And I came up with a list of 0. So
I was like,
it's not like, I don't care. I've come to the conclusion that dream is really only because American media somehow thinks that high school is important and even remains important after you graduate, because that's the plot of several rom-coms.
Yes. Several regular comedies, several dramas.
Yeah, it's not though. Like,
why are we so
important.
obsessed with high school?
I don't get it.
you know, I love high school as a genre setting.
Right.
Especially, I think because I was homeschooled, to me, it's like fantasy. It's like sci-fi.
Yeah, high school doesn't actually happen in real life, Bill.
But like, it's like, because people are like, well, that's not what real high school is like. And I'm like, no, but that's what high school media is like. Like, that's like, it's just a collection of tropes and narratives that like, it's a genre you set your story in.
Yeah, I have never seen any show accurately depict my experience in high school. I don't necessarily think it was because I was at like a non-traditional high school. I think it was just that like I had a very normal experience.
Yeah, because it's boring.
Yeah, I feel like high school media is based kind of on like 80s stuff and maybe how it was maybe like in the 80s.
Like John Hughes.
Yeah. But like if I were to pick a show that was close to my high school experience, it would probably either be Glee or the High School Musical, the series. Because I was a theater kid. But like, it's still not super close. I think the most realistic to how teenagers act in general is American Vandal.
Still haven't seen it.
It's the one where they do the like true crime documentary about penises being drawn on teachers' cars.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And like
I've seen the trailers.
How serious they treat like really dumb things and like how invested they get is like, it feels very like high school in like a realistic way.
Yeah.
Yeah, but other than that, yeah. So like, I don't know. It's just these. I think they didn't want it to just be Glee Smash, where they're like developing a show. But I do think developing a show is a better premise for an adult storyline than just starring as the lead in a revival.
Yeah, because I
like,
mean, there's
the
only
show gonna get picked up. Like our change is gonna be made. Like there
are actual stakes, because the stakes for the revival is like it either does or it doesn't. And it's off the stage in like a month or two, you know?
You'd actually have a budget. You have, you know, things that could derail the entire thing.
Like if one of the characters was a writer, you could even have them trying to put on like a small indie musical with the Glee Club kids. And it could maybe have some kind of fringe success. I mean, that's kind of how Six started. Or they get superpowers like in Riverdale. I don't know what to say. But
it's in the Gleeboot. You build it into the universe.
So Hannah, where can they find us on social media?
Oh boy. Well, you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. We are at Gleeboot Pod. You can also find us on Tumblr, gleebootpod.tumblr.com.
You can follow me on Instagram at Cullen Ever After.
And you can follow me on Instagram at a.m.swearingen.
And
next week is
the ballot. You know, people have been excited about this ballot, and I got one comment when we did season 4 that I can't wait for the season 5 ballot. So I wonder if there's someone out there who just listens to the ballot episodes.
That's fascinating. I mean, I think it would make sense.
Yeah.
Like they just want to know, like, okay, well, what did you think of the season as a whole? I don't care about how you felt about Puppet Master, which is valid, you know. Thanks for listening to the ballot episode, random person.
We already have had a significant amount. I don't remember how many we had for season 4, but we already have like a good amount of people that filled out season 5. So excited.
Well, you told us like people already filled it out, and I was like, oh no, am I behind? Did I not watch the correct amount of episodes? Jeez, you guys are way ahead of us. I mean, come on.
So tune in next week for us screaming.
And now back to me screaming.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Gleeboot.